Well, hello everyone. I'm coming to you again from the other side of the world. This is my tiny little apartment here, which has become our home away from home for about 6 weeks in downtown Seoul, South Korea. These two doors that you can see behind me, one is mine, one is my 4-year-old's, and this is it. We are right in the middle of one of the most hustling and bustling, high energy, vibrant, full of life places in all of Seoul, which has about 25 million people in it. So this has been an adventure, and I will of course be super happy to share some more with you about those details in just a bit. But I want to really hop right into the purpose of this message to you. And I know this video is accompanying an announcement of my next chapter, a new chapter in life, which I've been embarking on for the past little bit. But as you know, with all new beginnings come the close of another chapter, the close of another door. And that's really where all of you come in. We have a very wide audience receiving this message. Many of you have just been my own friends and family, my own personal support network, my cheerleaders, that you have been in my corner for the good, the bad, and the ugly of life. Some of you getting this message, we have worked together in some capacity. Some of us, we still do work together. Some of us have worked together formally, some of us informally on different projects with different companies, and some of you getting this message are a part of our community where we have done group coaching or private coaching together, or we have been involved in different personal or professional development programs together, and you have been just a part of this world with me over the past couple of years in some form or capacity. I just want to say thank you, because you have no idea how much you have lifted me and how much you have encouraged me and how much you have truly been iron that sharpens iron. And so this decision of mine to close the doors of my Digging Deeper community is not a decision that I take lightly. In fact, it's taken me over a year to make this decision. And I want to share a little bit of that with you, because the decision was important to me, and you are important to me. So I want to share with you kind of how all of that fit together. You know, when I stop and think about it, it's been right at 10 years, I can't even believe it, that I have been a part of the direct selling industry. And when I was first introduced to this industry, I was 24 years old. I was totally skeptical at the beginning, but once I embraced the concept, I attacked it with every fiber of my being, because I believed then, and I still believe now, in the power of short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. And I was with my first company for 7 years, and I had some amazing experiences. I learned so much about myself, about life, about business, about people, and I will always be grateful for my friends and my mentor from that phase of my life. Now, some of you are familiar with that company and some of you aren't, because again, we have got a number of leaders, of networkers, of mentors, of experts that have become a part of this community from all different direct selling companies. Some of you are in the product industry. Some of you are in skincare or nutrition or health and wellness or fashion. Some of you come from direct selling companies in the energy or the utility sector, and some, where you're in phones or again energy or power, and some of you used to be in the direct selling industry and you've moved back to traditional business, and vice versa. And whatever reason that our paths cross along the way, many of you have a much more extensive experience in the direct selling industry than I even knew was possible. Because when I was with that first company for 7 years, I thought I would never leave. And it's a good company. There are a lot of good things about that company. But as many of you know from your own personal experience, there came a point when my vision and what I was expecting and what I wanted to do and create and what I was looking for were no longer in alignment with that particular company. And again, it's not good or bad, right or wrong. It's just being able to listen to that still small voice within you and say, you know what, this is not the right fit. We are not in alignment here. And you can either choose to stay and fight the system, fight for what you believe in, or you can choose to move on and create that system or create that vision elsewhere. And it's okay to do either one. And, you know, just to give you an example of that I know many of us have talked about in the past, and you may have been in some coaching classes with me and some programs where we talk about, you know, when to stay or when to go. And a good example of that is, you know, if you think back a couple hundred years ago to even when the U.S. pioneers, when they were first still a part of England and they were experiencing some conflict and they were experiencing some things that they just no longer jived with. Some people made the decision to stay and fight. Some people made the decision to move on and create something new in the U.S. And again, England is great, the U.S. is great, but it depends on which is the best fit for you. And it's funny, you know, in the few years since I made the decision to leave my first company, I've come across several quote-unquote industry legends who had similar experiences where they reached a point where their own personal vision was no longer the same of some specific company. And again, it's okay, but it's learning to figure out what's the right fit for you, and depending on what your mission is, what your vision is, what your passion is, and what stage of life you're in, you know, it's okay. But I'll tell you, when I first left my first company where I really thought I would be for the rest of my life, I really thought that I was done with the direct selling industry for good. I knew that I loved helping people and teaching people, but I thought that I would be able to make a broader impact and to be able to help more people if I did it in a way where I wasn't attached to one particular company, where I could coach on more of a generic level, and we could talk about things, you know, other than just that one particular course or source of income. Now, of course, divine intervention played a role here. I totally believe in divine intervention. And I know that many of us are together. In fact, I think all of us are on this path together today for a specific purpose, which is totally divine intervention. But when I made the decision to go into group coaching and doing private coaching and small business owners, individual entrepreneurs, one of the things that I wasn't expecting was to end up back in the direct selling industry on the corporate side. But what happened is I was contacted by quite a number of companies. And this, I think, was my first big shocker, is that there are over 4,800 direct selling companies in the world today. Did y'all know that? I mean, I was blown away when I first began to realize how massive this industry is. I don't know if I had just grown up under a rock the whole time or what, but I think I'd only heard of probably 10 or 20 of those companies up until this point. And I had a lot to learn about this area of the world for sure. But several of these companies wanted me to come in and build a sales force and organization with them. And honestly, at the time, I couldn't even fathom that concept again. Some of them wanted me to work with them on the corporate side, become a part of their corporate team, and some of them wanted me just to do consulting work or contracting work. And once it was all said and done, I worked with a few of these different companies on a contract and consulting basis. Most of them came from, in fact, all of them, either came in the skincare or nutrition sector, just because those are where I am most personally passionate about. But I'll tell you the reason I'm sharing this with you. What's so interesting about that experience was when I lumped it all together and I looked at my own experience from building an organization and building a sales team of my own within my first company, and then looking at working on the corporate side as part of the corporate team, and then my experience doing consulting and contract work, and then coaching individual agents and distributors within their company, and looking at all of that together. I begin to hear this still small voice within me, and the message was clear. The message is this: I love teaching people. I love helping people. I love working with people one-on-one. And what I really love most of all is partnering. Rolling up our sleeves, working together, attacking and embracing life together. And that's something that you can't do from a hands-off, generic capacity. So many of you know that about a year ago, I made the decision to jump back into the ring and join forces with a brand new company that was just getting started. And wow, it has been one of the most fulfilling roller coaster rides that I could even begin to imagine. But ever since then, I've been getting some fantastically hysterical questions and comments from you guys on what company are you with now? What are you up to now? How did you make the decision? What on earth are you doing in South Korea? And I would love to answer all those questions for you. But what I have loved also is some of the serious nature of your questions and Facebook posts and private messages that I've been receiving. And it's funny that our paths seem to be mirroring each other for some reason. And many of you, as you've shared with me, you've been going through your own round of soul searching and digging deep and introspection and looking at maybe you're at a crossroads in your career, or you're coming into a new season of life, or for whatever reason you're just not totally happy with your current results. You're frustrated with your current results for some reason, and you're looking for some input and some feedback from someone who's been on a similar path of, how do I know which decisions to make? How do I know which decision is the right decision? How can I have confidence in that and not be constantly second guessing myself? And so with all of these things coming together, I've decided that it's time for me to share the rest of my story. Well, I guess at least the parts that relate to this particular topic. So what I'm going to do is on Tuesday, January 22nd, I'm going to host a webinar. And this is a free webinar for anyone who wants to participate. And on this webinar, we're going to address a couple of main topics. Number one, I'm going to share with you how and why I made the decision, after all of those different various experiences, why I made the decision to go back into direct sales on the field side. Why I really believe, even with the bad rap and the heartache that comes with it sometimes, why I believe that it's the best opportunity on the planet, and how I came to that conclusion. And the second thing that I'm going to share with you is the decision-making process that I went through in selecting my particular company. What was my criteria, if you will, for making that decision and finding the right company, as opposed to just, taking what comes my way, finding the one that's the right fit for me, that's aligned with my mission and my vision and my passion and my purpose, and that's the right fit for my personality. Guess what? You can do the same thing too. And hopefully, this information of how to make that decision, or how I made that decision, hopefully this will be helpful to you, whichever and regardless of which company that you're in or which company that you may choose. And then for those of you that are curious as to which particular company I selected, of course, I'll share that with you as well. It's no secret. But that will happen on Tuesday, January 22nd. So all you need to do to participate in that webinar is just click the link right here at the bottom of this email. It will take you to the registration page to reserve your spot for that webinar, and I will see you for the rest of the story on Tuesday, January 22nd. Bye for now, everyone.